Is God trying to reach you? Watch this message from Archangel Michael. My beloved child, pause right here, because the question you've been quietly asking is not random. You felt it in subtle ways, patterns repeating, moments lining up, an inner nudge that won't let you ignore it anymore. You're not imagining it. When the same thought returns again and again, it's not noise, it's focus forming. This message isn't here to convince you of anything. It's here to steady you long enough to hear what's already been reaching for you. Don't skip this moment. Something huge is waiting for you, and it begins with understanding why your attention was drawn here right now. Not earlier. Not later. Now, when you're ready to listen without fear. There's a reason your life felt like it slowed down while others rushed ahead. A reason plans shifted, doors delayed, conversations ended without closure. You weren't being stalled. You were being positioned. Most people miss this because they confuse urgency with importance. You didn't. You felt the tension, questioned it, and stayed present anyway. That's rare. And here's the surprising truth, when guidance reaches you, it often arrives as interruption before it arrives as clarity. The interruptions you faced were not punishments, they were protections. Stay till the end of this understanding, because once you see how restraint saved you from the wrong momentum, you'll stop doubting your path. You weren't kept waiting to test your patience. You were kept steady to protect your direction. Listen closely to this next part. Being reached doesn't mean your life suddenly becomes easy or dramatic. It means your inner compass becomes reliable. You start noticing what drains you before it costs you. You feel when something is misaligned before it breaks you. That awareness didn't appear overnight. It was trained through pressure, silence, and self-honesty. And now, the question isn't, is something reaching out to you? The real question is whether you're ready to respond without rushing, without forcing, without second-guessing yourself. Don't skip what comes next. Something huge is waiting for you, not a loud sign, not a sudden miracle, but a clear direction that feels calm, grounded, and unmistakably right. Slow down for this next truth, because it explains why the signal you've been feeling won't leave you alone. When something keeps returning to your awareness, it's not trying to scare you, it's trying to prepare you. You've noticed it in small disruptions, sudden pauses, and moments where your usual momentum didn't work anymore. That wasn't resistance. That was recalibration. Most people push through these moments and miss the message completely. You didn't. You felt the friction and questioned it. And here's the revelation that shifts everything. Guidance doesn't arrive to people who are busy proving themselves. It reaches those who are willing to listen without demanding instant answers. That's why this feels personal. That's why this moment feels different. Don't skip this, because once you understand why interruptions showed up before clarity, you'll stop seeing them as obstacles and start recognizing them as protection. Something huge is waiting for you, and it's tied to the exact moments you thought were slowing you down. Here's what's been happening beneath the surface. While others moved quickly and burned out, you were being slowed just enough to stay intact. Your inner awareness was being sharpened. Your tolerance for noise was dropping. Your attraction to shallow outcomes was fading. That didn't make sense at the time, but it does now. You are being prepared to recognize truth without needing it to shout. That's rare. And it's why the message feels steady instead of dramatic. Stay till the end of this realization, because it explains why you no longer feel pulled by urgency. You're learning the difference between movement and direction, between pressure and purpose. And this is important. If these words are resonating, share this message with someone who's been quietly questioning their path. Leave a comment about what line stayed with you, not for validation, but to mark awareness. And if you want to stay connected to messages that help you move with clarity instead of confusion, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Now let this land without rushing to interpret it. You are not being asked to change who you are. You are being asked to trust what has already been forming inside you. The reaching you're sensing isn't about fear or warning. It's about alignment. When guidance arrives, it often comes as a calm certainty that doesn't need proof. You'll notice it in how decisions feel cleaner, how doubt loses its grip, how your inner voice sounds clearer than the noise around you. This is why you were drawn here. This is why the message feels timely. Something huge is waiting for you, not at the end of panic, but at the end of attention. And once you fully recognize that, you'll realize this wasn't about being reached at all. It was about you finally being ready to listen. Something is tightening into focus right now. And it's the reason your attention hasn't drifted away. You may feel a quiet alertness, like your inner world just leaned forward. That's not curiosity, it's recognition. When a message reaches the right depth, your mind doesn't wander. It listens. And here's the truth most people never hear: when guidance is real, it doesn't rush you with fear, it steadies you with awareness. You've been sensing a difference between noise and meaning lately. Things that once distracted you no longer satisfy. Quick answers feel hollow. You're not becoming disconnected, you're becoming discerning. Don't skip this moment, because what's being revealed now explains why your instincts have sharpened and why hesitation has started to feel uncomfortable. Something huge is waiting for you, and it's connected to this exact shift from reacting to recognizing. Pay attention to how your inner dialogue has changed. You question less, but you understand more. You don't feel the need to explain every feeling. You don't chase reassurance the way you once did. That's because clarity is forming quietly, beneath the surface. And here's the shocking realization: guidance doesn't always arrive as a new direction. Sometimes it arrives as the removal of confusion. The fog lifts, not all at once, but enough for you to see your next step without panic. Stay till the end of this understanding, because it reveals why the message didn't arrive when you were desperate. It arrived when you were steady enough to receive it. You're not being warned. You're being aligned. And alignment feels calm, even when it carries responsibility. Let this final truth anchor you here. The reason this message keeps your focus is because it speaks to something already awake inside you. You're no longer asking if something is trying to reach you. You're noticing how clearly you can hear when you slow down. That's not imagination. That's awareness returning. From this place, decisions stop feeling heavy. Fear loses urgency. Direction feels natural instead of forced. This is why your attention stayed. This is why you didn't scroll. And this is why what comes next in your life won't need chasing, it will respond to the clarity you're building right now. Stay right here, because this is where most people would have scrolled away if this message wasn't meant for them. You may feel a strange stillness now, like everything just paused without effort. That pause is not emptiness. It's attention locking in. When life wants to speak clearly, it lowers the volume around you. That's why distractions feel weaker right now. That's why your focus hasn't broken. Here's the truth that changes how you see everything: when guidance is close, urgency disappears. Fear goes quiet. And clarity doesn't demand belief, it creates recognition. Don't skip this, because this moment explains why your inner resistance has softened. You're not being pulled forward by pressure anymore. You're being held steady so you can see what's been forming all along. Something huge is waiting for you, and it requires awareness, not effort. Notice how different this feels from motivation or hype. There's no rush. No command. Just a calm certainty settling in. That's because what's reaching you isn't trying to excite you, it's trying to align you. You've already outgrown chaos. You've already seen where rushing leads. And that's why this message didn't arrive earlier. It arrived when you could hear it without panic. Stay till the end of this understanding, because here's the rare realization: the more calm you become, the more accurate your choices get. You stop forcing timing. You stop chasing reassurance. You start trusting when something feels right without needing proof. And if this is resonating deeper than you expected, share this message with someone who's been quietly searching for clarity. Leave a comment about what line stayed with you, not for validation, but as a marker of awareness. And if you want to stay connected to messages like this as they unfold, subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Now let this settle fully. You are not being warned. You are being prepared. Prepared to move without doubt. Prepared to choose without fear. Prepared to recognize alignment when it appears instead of chasing signs everywhere. This is why your attention hasn't drifted. This is why your breathing feels slower. This is why your mind feels clearer. Something huge is waiting for you, not at the end of stress, but at the end of resistance. And once you accept this calm without questioning it, you'll realize you were never lost. You were being positioned to listen, and now, you finally are. Hold this moment gently, because what's happening now is not emotional, it's structural. You may feel a steady certainty replacing the old need to double-check everything. That's not confidence built on outcomes, it's confidence built on alignment. You've crossed a line where panic no longer controls timing. And here's the truth most people never reach: when guidance is real, it doesn't rush you forward, it stabilizes you where you stand. That stability is why your attention hasn't broken. Your mind recognizes that something is assembling quietly. Don't skip this awareness. Something huge is waiting for you, and it's connected to the way fear has stopped dictating your next move. Notice how different your inner voice sounds now. It's not loud. It doesn't argue. It doesn't threaten consequences if you don't act fast. It simply knows. That knowing didn't appear overnight. It was earned through patience, through moments where you didn't collapse even when clarity was delayed. And here's the once-in-a-lifetime realization. You were never meant to receive answers while you were frantic. You were meant to receive them when you could hold them responsibly. Stay till the end of this understanding, because it explains why your life won't suddenly explode into chaos or drama. What's coming unfolds cleanly, calmly, in order. You are no longer being tested by pressure, you are being trusted with direction. Let this settle without rushing to label it. You don't need to announce anything. You don't need to force progress. When alignment locks in, movement follows naturally. That's why the future no longer feels threatening. That's why waiting doesn't feel like punishment. Something huge was waiting for you, not a sign to chase, not a warning to fear, but this inner steadiness that makes every next step feel right before it's visible. The urge to rush has faded, replaced by a quiet readiness that doesn't need proof. This is the moment when awareness becomes commitment, not to action, but to truth. You're no longer negotiating with doubt. You're observing it, calmly, without letting it drive. That's the sign. When guidance is close, it doesn't add pressure, it removes friction. Don't skip this realization, because it explains why your focus feels locked in right now. Something huge is waiting for you, and it's tied to this exact steadiness, the kind that can hold responsibility without fear. Notice what's no longer pulling at you. Old distractions feel thin. Old worries feel repetitive. Your attention naturally returns to what matters, without effort. This isn't discipline. It's alignment taking over. And here's the truth that changes how you move forward: when clarity arrives, it doesn't argue. It settles. That's why decisions feel cleaner. That's why waiting doesn't feel like loss. Stay till the end of this understanding, because what's forming now is a trust in timing, your timing, that can't be shaken by noise or comparison. You're not late. You're precise. Let this anchor you. From here on, you won't move because you're anxious to arrive. You'll move because the next step presents itself clearly. No force. No drama. No second guessing. This is why your attention hasn't drifted. This is why your breath feels steady. You're not being pushed anymore, you're being guided. And when momentum begins, it will feel natural, not urgent. That's how you'll know you're moving in the right direction. Everything slows into a clear, steady awareness now, and you can feel how different this is. Not dramatic. Not overwhelming. Just unmistakably right. The urge to look elsewhere fades because your attention is anchored here. This is what happens when recognition replaces searching. You're no longer asking if something is reaching you, you're noticing how clearly you can hear when you stop resisting stillness. Don't skip this moment. Something huge is waiting for you, and it's revealed through this calm certainty that doesn't need proof to exist. Here's the realization that quietly changes everything. You don't need to gather more signs. You don't need louder confirmation. The guidance you were hoping to notice has already settled into your instincts. That's why choices feel simpler. That's why hesitation doesn't spiral the way it used to. You're not detached, you're aligned. Stay till the end of this understanding, because it explains why your future won't feel chaotic even when it's active. You'll move with intention instead of urgency. With confidence instead of pressure. And that difference will protect your energy in ways you haven't experienced before. Let this be the moment you trust what has stabilized inside you. The message wasn't meant to rush you forward, it was meant to steady you where you are. From this place, movement happens naturally. Timing makes sense. Doubt loses volume. You don't need to chase what's meant for you anymore, it responds to clarity. This is why your attention stayed. This is why you're still here. And this is why what comes next will feel less like effort, and more like alignment unfolding exactly as it should. Let this final awareness settle without resistance. Because this is where everything quietly completes itself. You may notice there's nothing left to chase in this moment. No unanswered question pulling at you. No urgency asking you to move faster. That's because recognition has replaced doubt. The reaching you sensed wasn't meant to interrupt your life, it was meant to anchor you inside it. When attention becomes this steady, it's a sign that alignment has already begun. Don't skip this feeling. Something huge is waiting for you, and it doesn't appear through effort or struggle. It reveals itself through this calm certainty that says, without words, you're exactly where you need to be to move correctly. Here is the truth that brings everything together. You were never meant to live in constant alertness. That phase trained you, strengthened you, sharpened you, but it was never permanent. What's unfolding now is trust taking its rightful place. Trust in your timing. Trust in your discernment. Trust in the quiet signals you now recognize instantly. This is why fear no longer controls your decisions. This is why comparison feels irrelevant. Stay till the end of this understanding, because this is the shift most people miss. They keep waiting for a loud sign, while you learn to listen for alignment. And alignment doesn't shout. It settles. Carry this forward as you return to your day. When life speeds up again, return to this steadiness. When noise tries to pull you outward, return to your breath. You don't need to prove awareness. You don't need to defend clarity. From here on, movement will come naturally, and waiting will feel purposeful instead of painful. This was the message you needed, not to change who you are, but to trust who you've become. And once that trust locks in, nothing meant for you will miss you. Now notice what remains when everything unnecessary has fallen quiet. A deep steadiness that doesn't need explanation. This is the point where awareness turns into trust, and trust turns into movement without force. You may realize that nothing feels urgent anymore, yet nothing feels stuck. That balance is rare. It means you're no longer driven by fear of missing out, but guided by clarity of direction. This is why your attention stayed all the way here. Your soul recognizes completion when it feels it. Something huge is waiting for you, not as a future promise, but as a readiness that has already settled inside you. Here's the final realization most people never reach. When guidance has done its work, it steps back. Not because it's gone, but because you're capable now. Capable of choosing without panic. Capable of waiting without doubt. Capable of moving without needing approval. This is what being reached was always about, not dependence, but independence rooted in clarity. Stay with this understanding, because it reshapes how you walk forward from this moment on. You are not meant to search endlessly. You are meant to recognize when alignment has arrived and act from that place calmly. Carry this with you as life resumes its pace. When decisions come, meet them with breath before reaction. When silence appears, treat it as guidance, not absence. You don't need another message to confirm what you already know. This awareness is enough. You are steady. You are clear. And from here on, every step you take will feel less like effort, and more like truth unfolding exactly when it should.